Time now is 12:18, and State Attorney General Maura Healey holding a news conference at this hour. She is announcing action against President Trump's executive order. Let's listen in.
Is harmful, discriminatory, and unconstitutional. It discriminates on the basis of religion and national origin, denies our residents access to due process and equal protection of the law, and violates federal immigration law. The role of this office is to uphold the law and the Constitution of this state and of the United States. So today, on behalf of Massachusetts and our interests, including our university system, my office is filing suit to challenge the executive order. I am heartened to share the stage at this difficult time with others who will share their words. First, we have with us the president of the University of Massachusetts, Marty Meehan. We have the executive director of the ACLU Massachusetts, Carol Rose, Muhammad Ali, president and CEO of Carbonite, Raymond C. Offenheiser, president of Oxfam America, Ava Malona, executive director of the Massachusetts Immigrants and Refugees Advocacy Coalition, Mike Srzinski, vice president of the Massachusetts Health and Hospital Association. We're also joined today by Dr. Robert Brown, president of Boston University, representatives from the American Immigration Lawyers Association, the Somali Community Association, representatives from the City of Boston, Massport, the Board of Higher Education, Partners Healthcare, and Tom Hopcroft, president of the Massachusetts Technology Leadership Council. We stand here and with others across this state as a unified Massachusetts community, from government, business, medicine, academia, nonprofits, and advocacy, all working together to reject this discriminatory and dangerous measure. It's this solidarity that makes us strong. We know the last several days have been chaotic and challenging for so many. Beginning on Saturday, we learned of detentions happening at Logan Airport. 2 of those detained Saturday afternoon were professors in the College of Engineering at University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. In fact, they were detained coming back to the United States, to their home, from an engineering conference abroad. Both are Iranian nationals who earned their PhDs at Johns Hopkins University in Maryland, and are lawful permanent residents of this country. They are training the next generation of Massachusetts engineers. But with a wave of a pen, the president's executive order kept them and thousands of others from coming home. The executive order barred people fleeing persecution and war. It barred Iraqi interpreters who have assisted our own military. And it barred students and researchers trying to get back to classrooms here in Boston and across this country. Over a long and uncertain Saturday evening, airports around the country drew a number of protesters. When I got to Terminal E on Saturday, the ACLU, along with immigration lawyers, advocates, the media, and government agencies, were already working to get travelers released, including Susan Church and Heather Younts, who are here today from the Immigration Lawyers Association. In the early hours of Sunday, the federal court in Boston temporarily halted the detentions. Today, Massachusetts is joining the case to protect our state, our university system, and the rights of faculty and student body from the ongoing harms of this illegal order. We're also suing to protect the rights of businesses, colleges, hospitals, and the residents of Massachusetts who are unable to travel or to plan for the future. You know, yesterday I was over at a middle school in Dorchester, and I met 2 twin sisters born in Boston to parents from Somalia. That's one of the countries that's on the president's executive order travel ban. They told me, like me, they like to play basketball. They told me they wanted to go to college, and they were chosen for this program yesterday because they are young leaders in their school. They told me, too, that they are afraid. They are afraid of the president and of what is happening in our country. They asked me, "What are you going to do to make us feel safe?" I told those children that my office enforces the laws that protect people, that keep people safe. I told them that we would be there to protect them against discrimination based on their religion, their race, their national origin. We talked about the Constitution and the Statue of Liberty and how we've always been a nation of immigrants. The same conversation that so many have had over the past few days. One of the girls then cried, and it broke my heart. That is the impact of this executive order. I want them to know that Massachusetts will have their back and that no executive order, no president is more powerful than their rights as Americans and no more powerful than our Constitution. Over the past few days, I've thought a lot about what makes Massachusetts such a special place. As our college professors know, we have the best students from around the world, the best faculties, the best brains, the best scientists. And because of those people, we have businesses and labs and startups, nonprofits that reflect an incredible diversity, energy, and creativity. Because of our people, we've truly become a global state and a global leader. And that's just one reason why this executive order is such a threat. Because it threatens the vitality, the livelihood, the lifeblood that drives so much of Massachusetts. It sends the message that some people aren't wanted, that people will be judged, classified, and segregated. It's a threat to our values, the values they're teaching in middle schools all across this state. The values you see reflected every day at places like the University of Massachusetts or Boston University, or in our great hospitals or institutions. The executive order is also a threat to our national security. It tells our enemies that homeland security decisions will be made without any input from our intelligence agencies to achieve political objectives. And it's a threat to our Constitution. By filing this suit today, we are fighting for the principles that have made America a beacon of hope and freedom for the world. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to call President Marty Meehan.
Thank you very much, General. I'm here as the president of the University of Massachusetts, and the University of Massachusetts was a original land-grant university. A Republican member of Congress, Justin Morrow.
And you've been listening to a news conference featuring State Attorney General Maura Healey and UMass President Marty Meehan speaking right there as Attorney General Healey has filed suit to challenge President Trump's executive order, calling it discriminatory and dangerous measure and also unconstitutional and harmful to Massachusetts. We'll continue to follow the story. We'll continue to follow this news conference on our website at wwlp.com. We'll have the latest coming up tonight on 22 News starting at 5.